I'm super excited to announce that today we have Joshua Smith in this podcast. He's going to share his journey of selling 30 homes all the way to selling 300 homes per year. You might identify a little bit with that if you're a solo agent. He also shares how he went from being a single agent to being a broker owner of 105 locations and selling 7,000 homes. Pretty impressive. He is the host also of the GSD Mode podcast, and he'll be sharing some of the reasons why he went from owning 105 locations to starting from zero at EXP and how is it going right now. Please help me welcome Joshua Smith. Super excited Joshua is here. As you guys know, top producer. Well, I think you all US. Thank you so much for being in the podcast. I know you're like a superstar. I'm so excited to talk to you today, especially when it comes to mindset production and real estate in the US.
Yeah, no, I'm honored to be here and excited to jam with you and just really excited for this overall.
So for those people that don't know you in our channel, because me and our crew mostly is international, but everybody looks up to the US on how to do things, how to create systems, how to, organize their business in real estate in a way that makes sense and it can be productive and automated. But for those outside of the US that don't have the opportunity or they haven't met you yet, would you do a quick intro on how why agents have been going to you for so many years for the help on the production side and I think the hardcore mindset?
Yeah. So, I got in the business back in 2005. So, just like everybody, we different reasons that we get into the industry, but we all start off at the same spot, not knowing anything and having to figure this thing out. But I was at a point in my life where I was ready to change. I was sick and tired. I mean, I was a college dropout, never made more than $10 an hour before I got in real estate. I was so sick and tired of being broke. And it was deeper than that. I was just making a lot of bad life changes, and I just knew that, like, I just felt like a loser. And not that I just felt like a loser. I knew I was a loser. And I was just so sick and tired of feeling like a loser. So, I was willing to do whatever it took to turn my situation around. I saw real estate as that vehicle where I could jump into it. I could afford to get into it because I couldn't afford college. And like I said, I was, grew up pretty broke and always broke. So real estate seemed to be the right vehicle. So, jumped in and, had a great first year, 48 deals my first year. That then led me to hiring my first assistant and starting to build out the team. So then 103 deals, then, just over 300 the third year. It just kept growing and growing and growing. And no, I don't want to make it sound like that was easy. There was a lot of ups and downs and heartaches and headaches and learning lessons in that. But with that, I think one of the reasons why I do have a lot of agents that reach out to me or team leaders, for support and help is because I've worn all the hats, right? I've created, a successful individual agent business, doing over 100 units a year myself as an individual agent. Then I built one of the top teams in the country. But then on the brokerage side and on the franchising side, was involved in building over 105 locations. And so I've kind of seen it all, where I've worn all the hats. And I've made I don't want to say all, but most of the mistakes. So, it's one thing that I was looking at, okay, it's much easier to figure out what to do than it is to figure out what not to do.
Mhm.
Right? And that's what some of the power I find in mentors and just masterminding and networking with others is, look, I always want to know what they did to get to where they're at, but equally, if not more importantly, I want to know, okay, what mistakes did you make? What are the learning lessons? Because yeah, I mean, I've made it, made, whatever, I've made good money but I've also lost insane amounts of money. I'm trying to figure this crap out. Yeah. Right. So, but it's been a wild ride and I wouldn't change it for anything.
No, that's good because I'm sure that, I mean, with your experience, uh, you, as known as you were or are still, franchise model wouldn't make sense for you. But then you chose a vehicle in this case to continue and expand your real estate career. That in this, has been EXP, and that's how we met.
Yeah.
What made you think that, after being there, done that, almost everything, all the good and the mistakes, why you pivot thinking about EXP as a vehicle for the next step of your career?
Yeah. What's interesting is I never thought I'd ever be at EXP. I think I have talked more crap about this company probably than anybody else out there. But I just, I mean, and honestly, the first 5 years of my awareness of it, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I thought it was a joke. I didn't, you know, I never spent the time to truly understand it. I just had, preconceived notions, judgments, that were false, I guess, if you will, but I just didn't take the time to understand it. The last 5 years, I knew it was legit. Like I had good friends that were there that were doing amazing things. I'm seeing all my top team leader friends jump over there doing amazing things. Seeing the back end. So when I say doing amazing things, but seeing their profit and loss statements, seeing their bank accounts, right? So I knew it was legit, but I was so determined to do my own thing, and whether it was ego, it was emotion, we went out there and started building and built a franchising company where, like I said, we had 105 locations and just, again, it was the ego and emotion, but I think it was necessary because I had to go down those different roads to realize they were the wrong road. Because people always ask me, like, how did EXP, who recruited you in? How did you? I'm like, yeah, EXP didn't find me. I found EXP. I went down every road, right? Joined, not tons of different brokerages, but I was part of a few different brokerages, but then as far as a leader myself, building a team, going independent, doing the franchising, model and just realizing that they weren't for me. They might be for some, but they weren't for me, man. I was miserable. Got to the point where it was just none of my time allocation was spent doing things I enjoyed. All the risk, all the exposures, like every time we add another agent or another location was just like adding another bar to the jail cell, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, like, yeah, I need to be able to make money, but I also want to be able to love what I do and enjoy it. And got to the point where the money was okay with the other vehicles, but I just hated it, and to be honest with you, the money there wasn't near as good as it is here at EXP. What I love about EXP and what I discovered about EXP is, okay, hey, I can come over here, build a brokerage inside of a brokerage. Yeah, I can do my own production, but then for $85 a month, at least here in the US, I can leverage 2,500 staff members, all the liability, all the headache, all the systems, all the tools. I get to allocate all my time to doing what I love. So I was like, okay, I have no expenses, no headaches. I get to do what I love for, zero risk. Everybody wins. I'm having the most fun I've ever had in my whole entire career. After, people are like, oh man, you've been doing this 20 years, aren't you burnt out? I'm like, no, dude, I'm having more fun than I ever have in 20 years, right? So yeah, and it honestly, it's the first. So I mean, there's selfish reasons why I came, but it's the first everyone wins model I've ever seen. One of the things that's always driven me crazy, because even though I got into the ownership role, um, I've always seen myself as an agent, right? And I always had a hard time with the agents always losing. It was like, hotel, I got into ownership, which I don't even want to say I still won then because it was still, just there were still downsides to that, but it was like, man, it was like the broker owner always wins. The agent never does. And most broker owners don't win either. Most people don't realize this, but the vast majority of broker owners, probably 90% of them are broke as absolutely can be.
Yeah.
Broker is just another word for, an agent that was broke that couldn't make it as an agent. They became a broker. They're still broke, but right? It's, so then, I mean, the ability to have exit strategies, the ability to have retirement plans. I mean, all things that I know you and probably your audience knows about, but I've never seen such an amazing vehicle. And my biggest regret is that it took me 10 years to sit down and really unpack the model for what it is. I just totally judged it, totally, and it's if I would join 10 years ago, my life would be totally different. But best time to join, plant a tree 10 years ago, second best time today. So, honored to, be here now, and we're growing fast, and it's been an amazing journey.
Well, that's amazing to hear that from you, especially after you own 105 locations. That's a lot of, seems like a lot of logistics to manage. So
Yep.
I would love to ask you from an agent perspective and also from a broker owner perspective. First, for those new agents that maybe see you and they're like, oh no, you're so big and you've been there, done that, but I'm just a solo agent. That mindset that comes when you said, I went from 40 deals to 300 deals. What was that mindset that you had back then to reach that number? Because some agents can barely, hit 5-7 deals a year. Imagine 40. And that mindset that took you to 300, of course, the support team that you had, like, what was the what was in your head at that moment that you're like, I can do it, and this is, my system's in place that I want to put, uh, and then you started with that.
Yeah, so couple things there. Now, the first thing is don't compare, somebody else's journey to our journey. Yeah, right. And the reason why I say this is look, I grew up, my father owned gyms, health clubs. So I grew up, I started selling memberships for my dad at 14, and, sell memberships and personal training packages. And, I had lots of good sales training from, my father and from others. So I'd been doing sales for essentially 9 years before I got into real estate. I didn't make any money at it, but I learned a lot of skill set, at that because I was, just an employee at somewhere else, right? So number one, I had a little bit of a foundation. Number two, I was 23 years old. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. So why I bring that up is I could work 100 hours a week, and I did. Now that I'm 43 years old, I'm married, I have three kids. I don't know if I could replicate. Like if, I mean, no, if I was able to keep all my knowledge, okay, yeah, I could do 48 deals in 12 months. Like if I start over in a new city. But at that point in life, like if I, put myself in those shoes, right now, I don't think I could replicate it. Not that I couldn't replicate it, I don't know I'd be willing to do so
Mhm.
because I want to be at my kids' soccer practice. I want to, so that's where, people like you gotta comparison can be great because there's a healthy element of comparison where we're learning but then, there could be that negative part where we get down on ourselves. So again, 23 years old, wasn't married, didn't have kids. I worked 7 days a week. I actually didn't take a vacation for my first 7 years in real estate. Now that was intentional because I was 23 and I was like, hey, I am going to work every single day, 7 years straight. So by the time I'm 30, my life is set up like nobody else, like none of my other friends, nobody, right? I just knew that, um, I could set myself, like to me, the sacrifice is worth it. But then from there, you asked how, right? So then it was okay. So I had the burning desire. Yeah, right. Like I said, I was sick and tired of being a loser, so I just had that desire to succeed. Then I found the right mentor. I was just like, I went out there knowing what I don't know. I knew there was a lot that I didn't know, but, smart enough to, I've never been like the smartest dude by any means. Again, I'm a college dropout. Like, I don't know. There's so much I don't know. But I've always been smart enough to identify the right people to learn from. You know, um, so in this situation, I was like, okay, let me go find the biggest badass I possibly could in my marketplace. Now, it just so happened to be he was one of the top realtors in the country, one of the top team leaders in the country, but he also owned the brokerage at the time. So I was able to jump in, get that mentorship for him so he could give me the roadmap. I didn't have to figure anything out. I just had to execute on it. And that's what led to that business. But then you asked about mindset. I always say there's three things that somebody has to have to succeed. So when an agent comes to me and is like, whether they're new or whatever, or any stage, they're like, hey, can you help me? As long as they have these three things, I can help them. But if they don't have these three things, I can't or nobody else can. If you don't have these three things, like you better figure out how to get these three things right away. So number one, you must have a burning desire to succeed. Now, I'm not saying everybody defines success differently. Whatever you're, whether it's if you want to close 30 deals a year, that's winning. If you want to close 3,000 a year, that's winning. Right? Whatever it is, like you have to have a burning desire to make sure that needs to become a must. We don't accomplish our wants, we don't accomplish our nice to haves, we accomplish our musts in life. So until this thing becomes an absolute must, that you must make this a reality, and you are very clear on why you must do that, it ain't gonna happen. So you gotta have that number one is that burning desire to succeed. Number two is you got to have a hard work ethic. Now, hard work ethic doesn't mean you got to work 100 hours a week. Maybe you only have 20, but in that 20 hours that you're working, you better be busting your ass off, right? So, hard work ethic. Number three, you got to be coachable. If you don't have those three things, again, I can't help you. No human being on this planet can help you until you learn those three things.
Mhm. Well, that's awesome because seeing that progress, of that you can do it, and the training that you offer now to agents that will be, partnering up with you, is that experience that you had and how you went through the motion of doing it. But it's super important the other side too, how you receive the information. If you're not coachable, it's just nobody's gonna take you anywhere because you
Yeah.
know it all. And that after that, what was the your mindset? Because I know the next step for a solo agent will be, okay, let me open my own brokerage. When do you started that process, or how did it work for you, and how did what allowed you to grow so big? How were you able to scale 150 locations?
Yeah, yeah. So, to me, it's really not about the money. It's not about which it probably should be more about money for me because I'd probably be much further than I am today with money because I I'm careless and reckless with it because I just don't really care about. I mean, I respect it for the vehicle that it is, but if I was more obsessed with it, I probably could get it to compound and much more effectively. But for that, it's really just about like people ask about why, and like I said, either you have a burning desire to succeed. So for me, it's like my only why is to look in the mirror and be proud of the human being that I see looking back at me. That's it. Like I'm pretty simple. It's like so for me though, like I am most happy, I'm most fulfilled with growth. So I don't really have like financial targets. To me, it's just growth. Like I just understand, at least for me, this is my personal philosophy in life. Either you're growing or you're decaying. Just like a fruit tree in the backyard, the second it stops growing, it's enters decay mode. And I believe that human beings are that same way. So the second I stop growing and whether it be that my mind, right? We see the average, I mean, the average age of somebody that retires, what they average years, it's like 4 or 5 years. Yeah, right. So whether it's, from a mental aspect, when we stop learning and stop growing and start being challenged mentally, physically, whatever it may be. So for me, it's always been about growth. I just want to, take it to the next level and continue to grow and continue to expand. And, part of that growth journey is, look, I love the reason why I'm so obsessed with real estate is I've never found a better vehicle that impacts others' lives in a quicker, faster way. I've never seen an industry where you can jump in almost zero barrier to entry and you can go from zero to within 6 months making as much as attorneys and doctors. So what I love most about this industry is impacting others. Like it's changed every aspect of my life, but I love, it's almost like a drug to me where it's addictive of how many other people's lives can I impact. I mean, I have people that agent partners that were delivering pizzas, full time 10 years ago, and within a 4 or 5 year period of time, they go from delivering pizzas to making 500 grand a year, to owning investment properties and look, I don't get the credit. They get the credit because they put in the work and they did the work, but I played a small role by helping with the roadmap and so for me I never sought out to close a certain amount of units or to have a certain amount of locations or it was just, hey, I want to grow personally. I want to grow my business and I want to impact as many other agents as I possibly can in this industry. And that's just what evolved to that. So then it's like every time you hit a capacity, so okay, I went and did 48 deals. I was out of capacity. I wanted to double going in my next year because again, growth. I'm like, hey, I think I can double this thing, get to 103. Um, but I knew I couldn't do it alone at that point, so I went out there and hired a full-time admin. So then, okay, that allowed me to burst this capacity, this glass ceiling, to 103 the next year. Then from there, doing 103 deals as a solo agent, it got to a point where I was 2 weeks booked out from being able to hire or being able to go on a buyer consultation or listing presentation. Nobody's going to wait 2 weeks. They might wait 2 days. So I knew I was just pissing away money, so then I'm like, okay, because again, hitting the capacity, I want to grow, right? I'm about growth, and at that time, I was about my growth, right? It got to a point later, about, I don't know, 7, 8 years into my journey where then my obsession became the growth of others, right? So then I started bringing on agents, to handle my deal overflow and we just split the deals 50-50, and so I hired a couple agents, whatever. Then we got to 300 deals, then hit another glass ceiling, right? Then added some more, right? Just, and then once I got out of production, which is about, I don't know, 8 years into the business, 7, 8 years into the business. And I became a full-time coach, if you will, for my agents, not like a coach to other people, but just, for my agents on my own internal team, that's when I found my calling, right? Was, not that, look, I love the production side, I love all of that, but being able to have it, because like working with buyers and sellers is fun and it's rewarding. But man, when you're able to take somebody that's struggling, right, and show them the roadmap and have a part in turning their life around, if they choose to, like I can't turn around for them, they got to be willing to put in the work, but I can give them the exact roadmap. I can give them the guidance, and just, it just became the best thing ever. So I guess still I'm still doing it selfishly because for me it's just it makes me feel the best about myself and the most proud when I look in the mirror. But it was just bursting through those capacities. Okay, what's next? What's next? Let's keep growing. Let's keep impacting. And then that's why I saw EXP as the next evolutionary, best vehicle for me to continue down this journey. Because I'm like, okay, I can plug into what they have. I go faster. We're in 28 countries. Yeah, right. So the growth, the expansion, the impact I can have here is so much larger than any other vehicle I could have, or at least the previous vehicles that I was trying to build, or any other vehicle I could identify. I
Mhm.
was like, this is the next, this is where I need to be to go out there. And because my mission is, 40,000 to impact on as big a level as I possibly can, 40,000 agents within the next 10 years. My previous vehicle, that wasn't allowing me to do that. Not with the impact I wanted.
Yeah. No, that's amazing and very inspiring because sometimes I have a lot of friends that are broker owners and they might think they have figured out, but they're still, if there's a saying that if the business runs you, then you have no life. But that happens over time without us even knowing. I'm not a, broker owner. I've never wanted to be because of the stress that comes with it. And I can't even imagine with 105 locations, what would be that operations level of, compliance, making sure, everybody has what they need, technology wise, training wise, legal wise. That has to be like a burden for some of the managing brokers that have an office, and they don't realize when they say they hit the ceiling. Um, like that feels like that's it, right? Like they just cannot go any further because they need to scale, and unless they have that help full time, like you chose to have, I feel like they don't see outside that dark place. I don't know if you have encountered any of those situations that you've been there, done that, and you're like, you don't know how it's in the other side because until you see it, you cannot, what
Yeah,
you don't see it.
yeah. It was, I mean, look, I talk about how much I love this business and how, and look, I do. And it's changed every aspect of my life, but man, has it kicked the living shit out of me at the same time. I have made it, lost it, made it, lost it, made it, lost it. I've been kicked in the teeth so many times. Had to, now for me, because I'm about growth, I don't look as failure and pain as a negative. To me, those are more growth moments. And a lot of times those are our biggest growth moments. So, but yeah, it was at first, I was like, okay, the key to, growth was the team, but then I'm like, okay, well, man, I spend all this time and energy going out there recruiting these agents to my team, coach and train them up. They get to the point where they're doing 20, 30 million a year in gross volume sales after a couple of years. Get that call like clockwork. Hey Josh, appreciate everything that you've done for me. I wouldn't be where I am at without you. But I'm ready to go on my own, want to start my own team, but I'm staying with the brokerage. And they're like, well, shit, man. Like the broker always wins. Like the broker won with me being here, and then now the brokers retain him. I'm the one that freaking recruited him. I'm the one that coached him. I'm the one that got him from zero to 30 million a year in gross volume sales. And again, when I say that, like of course I give the agent the credit, right? Like I just facilitated the experience. And look, and I want that. Like I believe that leaders create other leaders, and how many other leaders you create shows your ability of being a great leader. So if they were all staying small and staying with me forever, okay, I'm probably not that good of a leader then. So then I was like, okay, well, the brokerage route, that's the way to go. But to your point on the brokerage side, all the liability, all the headache, all the, and honestly, like there was a point in time where I thought I could become the next, Glenn Sanford or Gary Keller but then, had to just get humbled enough to realize, man, I don't know if I am one of those guys. Those guys have something that, like, I don't know if I could pull off what they pulled off without, I mean, maybe I could, but I know it'd kill me. Yeah, right. Like I'd have to, and I'm not saying that those guys had to sacrifice everything, but for with the taste of it that I had, I was like, dude, to build anything like close to what they've had to build, I would have to be so obsessed, go all in. I'd have to lose my marriage, lose my health, lose my relationship with my kids. I'm not one to do those things. Yeah, right. Like I want to grow and expand, but like to me, it's like I want to take care of my health. My wife and I mean, high school sweethearts, the only girlfriend I've ever had, been together for half our lives. Like that's important to me. My three kids are important to me. Right. Like my dogs are, right. Like I'm like, yeah, I work a lot, but I also got this thing over here that matters equally as much to me, if not more. You know, um, you know, uh, so then, so yeah, then I thought it was the brokerage path, and but then realized again, it was like every time we add another location or another franchise or even another agent, it was just like add another bar to the jail cell. And then with all the liability that's going on, all the lawsuits, so at least for here in the States, Because a lot of people don't realize, like the NAR lawsuit settlement statement that just came out, that's only 5 year protection. The DOJ is very vocal that they don't like it, so we know that's going to come back in 4 years. They're starting right now at the buy side class action lawsuits. They're also getting ready to launch RESPA for JVs and RESPA violations. So I'm like, look, we're in the beginning phases of all these, lawsuits.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to stroke $100 million check. Not that I have $100 million to stroke, but I'm like, let EXP, let remat, like they can withstand the storm. Right. And I had a lot of friends that got wiped out from that. You didn't see that stuff on the news. You heard about NAR, but I had friends that were forced to sell, lost everything just to pay out the settlement. 20, 30 years of hard work gone, evaporated overnight for nothing they did wrong, nothing their agents did wrong, just because of some stupid ass class action lawsuit that should have never happened in the first place. Right? That didn't involve them. Everybody got stuck with it. People want to blame NAR, blame Remax, Keller Williams. They didn't fight it. They all settled. It's like, look, dude, they couldn't go fight these DOJ packed attorneys,
Yeah.
and it wasn't NAR's fault. It wasn't Remax's fault. It wasn't KW's fault. It wasn't EXP's fault, but everybody was forced to settle and the attorneys got $1 billion payout overnight. Yeah, right. So I'm like, okay, that's not stopping. And again, to me, like what's really important for me also, like, look, I'm willing to do things I don't enjoy for a period of time, but I'm not willing to do things I hate for 30 years of my life. So that is another thing here too. I'm like, okay, look, I can plug into this, right? Eliminate all of that crap. I don't have to worry about locations. Like we've been trying to get into Canada forever, but like we just weren't able to with all the red tape. It was just, but now that was meaning, previously before EXP. So I looked at this, I'm like, man, I'm able to plug into, I have a global playground. They're going to be in 100 countries within 10 years. That's at least the vision right now. They're in 28 more countries than, I'm in what, 5 countries, right now. And with agent partners, right? But I'm like, okay, I'm able to have this global playground again, leverage all the staff, leverage all the, but have the best training in the world. You have the best systems in the world, the best support staff. I've never seen support like this over here. Yeah, right. Better lucrative splits, get stock awards. I've already gotten, I don't know, 10, 12 grand. I have to look at the exact amount of stock already free this year for doing nothing different than I've ever done, like just free given to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Then I'm just like, dude, like I tell this to my wife all the time. I'm like, man, I feel like I got the cure to cancer and I'm trying to give it to people for free, but
Yeah.
really to pay them. Because if you look at this, okay, if yeah, you got to pay to be at EXP, but if you're able to save 30, 40 grand a year, you come over here, have better coaching, better training, better systems, better support, better everything, and save 20, 30 grand a year, which is, we run the math for a lot of top. I mean, I brought over a lady the other day, it's saving 80 grand a year from her brokerage to here, right? But I'm like, I feel like I got this cure to cancer, but I can't get people to take it, even though I'm giving it to them for free, but I also get it because I was blind to the model for 10 years. So the teacher doesn't appear till the students, teacher appears when the student's ready. It took me 10 years to be ready to see it.
True. And when you mentioned the international part, I I mean the reason I'm in this company is because of that. The you cut like the red tape or the bureaucracy in different countries because when you many of the brokerages that I have known that want to expand internationally, they have to go and establish their own company there. They have to start, from scratch in the corporation side. And at least in Mexico, the market we cover, you have to file your taxes almost every month. So it's not like here in the US once a year and you're done. In Mexico is once a month. And I'm like, I can barely do it once a year. I don't want to do it 12 times a year, but that's kind of
Yeah.
the requirement. So imagine if you want to expand to Mexico and then you had to open your own brokerage and deal with all the, operation side of things. Just spend more time running a business than actually making money with the business that many people don't understand. And I think that EXP has done the legwork of just doing the thing that you need to do to establish the company there so we can just go operate without any worries about establishing the company and running with it. Literally, we only have to go there in, train agents, and start operating.
Yeah.
And I think you don't, you hit it in the head because that was like EXP is the only, maybe there's one more, but the only brokerage cloud-based that is international, because the other ones that are very similar to EXP or they're trying to copy the model, they don't have the international piece to it, which to me is the super important thing because that's all we do all day, every day. But was that one of the elements that you were thinking, this is one of the reasons I'm coming over? or was that kind of like in your mind when you came up?
Yeah, I was, because I mean, if you look at this, if you look at opportunity, at least to the knowledge that we have awareness of, I mean, there's 16 million plus licensees throughout the globe. And the reason why I say why we have awareness to is, okay, you got countries like France, and I know there's a bunch of others out there too, where you don't have to be licensed to sell real estate. So if you look at it from an expansion and an impact standpoint, okay, like that's a big, again, like I want the world to be my, playground, if you will, and be able to impact as many lives on big of a scale as I possibly can. So that was massive to me, when it comes to that. So being able to, the other thing too, if you just think about this from like a hedging aspect, so it's like, okay, like one of my good friends that's at EXP now, he's here in the States, but he has about 800 of his agents that are in the UK. Yeah, well, the average production per agent in the UK is far superior than is here in the States. I think it's like double, if not triple. So if it's slower here, okay, it might be busier there, from like hedging his own business. It's kind of like, if I'm in production, okay, I'm going to get really good at working with buyers and traditional buyers and sellers, but I'm also going to get really good at working with distress, like whether that be short sales, foreclosures, REO, divorces, probate, people in distress situations. But then I'm also going to get, really good at working with investors. So then when any of those is like any given time, one's slow, like one's always going to be busy. So from a hedging aspect, also from our businesses, it's like what we're seeing right now go on, well, real estate, like this slowdown in the US, or if we go through another kind of great financial crisis, well, then if I'm in, there's more markets I can be in, yeah, the more also hedges my business, as well. But yeah, I think that is, and then again, another thing too is, and again, this is me being selfish, because I'm at EXP, but being an equity stock owner in the company, like the more countries that we're in, the more agent count that we have globally. Like let's just say we are able to build the first ever real estate brokerage to hit 500,000 agents, or a million. Like
Yeah.
what's that? What does that do to stock? Like it's, probably gonna have a positive impact on it, which I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah, and I think that is very valid because many probably agents don't realize the size of EXP's operations in other countries and how much it takes of manpower to run those businesses in those different countries. But 28, 27 at the time right now. But once they start understanding the potential, I think that's when the whole world is our oyster, like you were saying, having the mindset that you have for production, for, performance, and just taking it to the next level in other countries. Because sometimes I feel when I go somewhere else outside of the US, in the US, I'm never like, I don't know everything. And there's always somebody who knows more than me. And there's always this, it's very competitive. When I step out of the US, I feel like I'm the person who knows the most. And I'm like, oh, you guys don't know this? Like something basic, like
Yeah.
transaction contracts, automations, tech. They're like, no, we don't have that. And actually, that sounds nice. And I feel like I'm living in the future. When I go back to other countries, it's like, oh, you guys don't have that? Well, let me show you how to implement it. That works with us, for us, and then things like that. But sometimes we don't give ourselves some credit and like, you know a lot. You've been through some, a journey of discovery and, you know, kind of like now you're in the other side of like what I don't want to do, what I want to focus on, and what
Yeah.
the priority is.
Yeah.
Uh,
The other component about international too is, yeah, because I've been coaching agents internationally for a long time. I mean, primarily in the US and Canada, but like anybody I can help, I'll help, but you get certain countries at certain times, depending on what the dollar differential is, where it's like, okay, if they're paying me $1,000 an hour for a one-on-one coaching call, well, maybe to them that's like 5,000 an hour based on the dollar exchange. I remember talking with somebody. Now that at this point in time, my program was only like a couple $100 a month. Like this is like a group program that I had. But with the dollar differential for them, I can't remember exactly but they're in Africa. I just can't remember the exact, location in Africa they're at. But it was going to cost them like 25 grand. It was like a 10 to $1 differential. So it just got to the point where now I can open it up, offer free coaching, to everybody. So it makes it where we can partner together, makes it where it's affordable to them, versus doing the paid coach. So yeah, it's awesome.
I think some of agents outside of our world don't understand why we have the free coaching. And for us, it's super important our agents are equipped for production, right? Like they're like, so how do you make money? They ask, like, so you're coaching all these agents, how do you make money? But then once they see the behind the scenes of our rev share, our agents, the more productive they are, the better for the whole family. Because
Yeah.
when you win, we win. And there has been some exploration. Maybe we can share some of the visuals in the description below, so people understand and grasp, like, we don't need to make money from the coaching right now because it's going to come around, like what goes around comes around. And I feel that has been the ecosystem from exp that I have loved so far.
Yeah, I'm in love with it too. I mean, again, this is what allows, myself, you, and others that are leveraging, because look, most that come to EXP, they just want to become top producers, focus on their production business, and maybe rev share they'll dabble in a little bit, but most don't care about it, right? And that's awesome. I mean, EXP, at least if we look at here in the US, I mean, we outproduce everybody by a far margin. They've done the best job at attracting the best top producers and helping those develop into top producers, right? So it's like, dude, you want to become a top producer? You better be at freaking EXP because nobody does it better. But then because of the rev share, it allows us to also build a brokerage instead of a brokerage for those that want to. And it doesn't come out of the agent's pocket. So it's like, okay, somebody can choose to come, partner with you and me, right? Where they get full access to you, full access to me, all of your coaching, all of my coaching, then our business partner, Mike Sherrard's coaching, plus all of EXP stuff at no additional cost to them, right? How we get paid is EXP splits 50% of the revenue that they collect and they give it back to, Nathaly, myself, us agents for helping grow the company. So it doesn't cost you anything. So I always just look at it like it's reverse coaching. Instead of me always charging up front for coaching, and then whether you sell or not, like you're still paying me here, it's like, okay, you're going to come here. We're going to coach you first, but every deal that you do, we're going to get a little piece of it. So we still get paid,
Yeah.
but only once you produce. So we have a higher vested interest in your success than if I was just doing, we were just paid coaches. But then it doesn't come out of EXP's pocket. Or it doesn't come out of the agent's pocket. It comes out of EXP's side, right? So it doesn't cost the agent anything. And this is I think one of the reasons why I'm having so much fun here is I've never seen so much appreciation. Like, okay, coaching has always been good, but when you're the broker or you're the team leader or you're the coach and they're paying you, you know, um, I mean, there's a lot of appreciation there, but then there's also a lot of resentment, and there can be, whatever. Like, somebody's buying, paying me. Let's just say they paid me 12 grand for that year of coaching, but they chose to never plug in, do anything with it, and now they're mad at me because they chose not to do the work. And it was, where it's like over here because it's like EXP already offers so much insane stuff. Then we offer all this free stuff on top that doesn't cost them anything. I mean, you and I still get compensated again, how we explained earlier, but like everybody's so appreciative. Everybody's like, "Holy crap, I can't believe you do this." Right. So it's just, I don't know. It's nice to feel that element of gratitude where people are just blown away, and I don't know, having, like I said, having the most fun I've ever had in my life.
And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, yeah, making money and having fun at the same time. That's a good combo.
You love what you do, and you're not working.
Yeah.
And just for context and to wrap up the interview, when do you join EXP? Because you're new to our group, and how many agents you have right now? You mentioned that your goal is 40,000, but
Yep.
I want for people that think that it takes forever to build group, a downline. You did it so fairly quickly.
Yeah. It's not as quick as I would hoped, but I didn't know it was a new model, me getting into it. Now, you got to remember because people will hear that, oh, what Josh Yardley's brokerage is, had all the, all this stuff. Like you're able to, no, I had to start with zero because non-competes, like I came and I started at the beginning of, 2020. I mean, I joined like into December, but with the holidays, I didn't actually get like on board and started till, beginning January of 2025. So I started with zero. So what it's been almost 8 months. And actually, as of right now, about an hour before we jumped on here, I just had my 300th recruit.
Oh wow.
So it just clicked over and ticked up to 300. I was like, all right, man, I gotta, you know, my goal for the first year is 1,000.
Mhm.
I'm obviously 700 short of that, and I got 4 months now. Believe me, I'm mind mapping. I'm pulling out like anything I can to get those 700 to happen. I don't know if it'll happen or not. I'm going to give it my best shot.
Yeah.
Just like my first year, my goal is to do a deal week, close 52 homes. I fell short of that.
Mm-hmm.
I did 48, not 52. But this second year, I blew past it. So, for me, I always set, realistic but stretch goals. Something that other people have proven, other people have done,
Yeah.
but it's a stretch. Like I know I'm gonna have to work really hard for it, and a lot of times I don't hit it. But then the following year, I blow past it. So I don't know if we'll, I just like setting, setting big goals that really challenge the hell out of me. That kind of scare me at the same time too.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so to put that in context, and look, this will differentiate based on the type of average agent production, those that you bring on, where they fall in your rev share line, how many front, there's different different ways of that. But if you look at, okay, last month, which is the last rev share, because we get paid the 22nd of each month for the previous month, but I'd made just over 16,000 just for that month in rev share. And here's the thing that as I get older, I'm more obsessed with is that is that residual income, that mailbox money. Like before I was very transactional, like running the teams, running the brokerage, I mean, everything was just, well, the brokerages became residual a little bit as well. But in my own production business is like, okay, like every month you're having to start over again.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I want mailbox money. The older I get, the more that I discover that is the only way to have financial freedom and time freedom. But when I started doing the math, okay, for me to make the money I'm now making per month, it would take $4.9 million, about $5 million of free and clear money for me to invest in the stock market to pay me that same residual income. I'm like, it took me less than 8 months, zero money, a Zoom account. And yeah, am I working my ass off? Sure. But wouldn't somebody work their ass off for $5 million and be like, I mean, not that I'm going to, but if I wanted to, I could probably be done.
Yeah.
Just what I've done in 8 months. I mean, not that 16 grand is a ton of money because that's before taxes. And, but all said and done, I could be banking 10 grand a month after taxes for the rest of my life on just what I've already built in 8 months. Now, for me, that's, you know, nowhere where I wanted to be. And, plus I enjoyed the hell what I do. I don't plan on stopping, but yeah, it works if you work it.
No, it's pretty impressive what I mean, I think that many people think they cannot do it. You start like from zero, as you said, and we all do when we start here. But it's the speed that we go to, and then the time that we put in is that the output that you get out. And I'm so excited to partner up with you. We have a joint new baby, Fernando.
Yeah.
For sponsorship, I feel like it's great partnering up with you in that way. For those who don't understand much about co-sponsorship, and the reason I wanted to invite Joshua here is because there's a strong suit for production that we would love to bring to our group. So then by you and I partnering up as co-sponsors, this is the best of both worlds. Like agents get the best of, like expertise in different sites. What do you think about co-sponsorship? And with that, we can, share with the world what it is, a little bit of the concept, and then also the what they can see in you as a mentor.
Yeah, so I love it. Right? I mean, to me, I mean, outside of EXP creating the model, this amazing vehicle that Glenn created, but to add this on to me is just such a massive game changer. So, I've got, I don't know, I'd have to add, but around 50, co-sponsors, where there's a co-sponsor involved at this point, whether I'm co-sponsor, there's a co-sponsor involved, and it, think of it as okay, it allows you to have two parents versus one. So historically before it was like, okay, you had to pick a sponsor, like meaning that, okay, like, hey, I want, to name this person to influence my decision, but I can get access to maybe all their coaching support that they offer. But maybe you got somebody over here, a good friend or somebody in your local market, or, well, you can only pick one. Now a co-sponsorship, and they set up so brilliantly, like some of our competitors that, kind of copied our model. They take it where when you add a co-sponsor, okay, the rev share gets split in half. So then now whoever your sponsor is, they may not have the same vested interest in your success. And then you start building and helping them build, like it gets diluted really fast. So at EXP, it's like that we both get same full rev share, and there's different ways to leverage it, when it comes to that. So like maybe I have a brand new agent that's new in a new market and they want to come on and it's like, okay, hey, we can coach you at a high level, but maybe it makes sense to add you, with a local co-sponsor, right? But in a situation like this, like maybe you're like, hey, want everything that Nathaly offers, with all her amazing support and coaching and international support and bilingual support and, all of that to help you build your business. But then obviously with Nathaly, you also get Mike Sherrard Wolfpack, right, who's the best in the world at social media, AI. I mean, it's just there's a reason why we both joined Wolfpack and both joined Mike.
Yeah.
But then you're like, well, hey, but I also want Josh. Well, before it's like you would have to pick and choose Nathaly or me. Now you can be like, okay, I'm gonna go, join Nathaly, add you, Josh, as my co-sponsor. I get the same rev share. She gets the same. I'm every bit as vested in. Like I'm still your. It's just it's an additional sponsor. So now you can choose two. So then now you get the best of all worlds. Doesn't cost you anything. It's just like I said, it's having like two parents versus one. So I love it. I think it's like the most powerful thing because now we can truly support our agents at the highest level.
Yeah, and that, as you mentioned, it doesn't cost anything to the agents. Just making a decision of how they where they wanna take their career, because many people have different goals, different approach to how they want to operate their business. But yeah, it's exciting to have this partnership with you, and I can't wait to see where we take it. We have our first joint venture with Fernando, and we're both vested on the international side, but he's really excited to work with you as well on the mindset, production, and getting things done for Mexico. So for anybody who wants to learn more, first we're going to post all your links in the description below so they can find you, they can follow you as well. But then can you share what the handle is? So everybody
Yeah, it's pretty much anywhere you go, it's GSD mode. So Joshua Smith GSD. GSD, name of my podcast for Get Shit Done. So if you go to like the Facebook, Instagram, it's Joshua Smith GSD. My YouTube channel is GSD mode. If you're, I've got, I don't know, 3,000 free videos, podcast interviews, tips on YouTube. So there's tons of content. I've been creating content for about 15 years on there. So it's all free stuff. So yeah, you can type in Joshua Smith GSD and you'll pretty much find me anywhere.
Amazing. Thanks again, Joshua, for your time. We'll see you in Miami. And then for sure, anybody who has any questions, you can post it in the chat. And I'm also going to leave some information so you can join a call with both of us if that's something that you're interested in.
Yep, 100%. Thank you so much for having me on again. This is a lot of fun and an honor.
Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Our intention is for you to get inspired and just take your business to the next level. We just share tips, and if anything like we share resonates with you, you want to take your business global, you want to expand to other cities and states without the effort of incorporating every single state, and also you want to expand to other countries, you might want to chat with us. Maybe we can help you doing the step-by-step plan to get to that goal. If you want to have a group call between three of us or just have a one-on-one with me, I'm happy to connect. My calendar will be in the link below. And also, you can always text us or call us, and we'll be able to chat more about what are the needs that you have right now in your business and how we can cater to that with our platform. That's it for today. Stay tuned, and we'll see you guys in the next video.